saying that we are delighted to have you all here for this session. We're going to have some videos, we're going to have some interaction, and as you will see, we're going to have some tastings here. We will have some coffee outside and some absolutely delicious chocolate. So, as you know, we are starting on the whole issue on deforestation. And some 80% of global deforestation is a result of expansion and undermanagement of agricultural land to produce commodities such as cattle, wood, palm, soy, cacao, and coffee. And according to a pioneering new study, the world's food systems are responsible for more than 1/3 of global anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. So, to address this, innovative and collaborative solutions are required to resolve the companies, the government, the producers, and the consumers' struggles to understand both their role and responsibilities on how to operationalize changes that will have substantive impacts. And I'm delighted to highlight here how Ecuador's efforts to achieve a deforestation-free and sustainable production model are a beacon to other nations and stakeholders, proving that inclusive economic growth and the conservation of the environment can be a mutually supportive and harmonized process. You really have done an amazing job in our leaders. Yet this challenge requires the coordination of various sectors under a collective vision to improvise production systems and livelihoods and prioritize quality products with high socio-environmental integrity. So as part of the joint efforts made by the private and public sector and civil society, an interministerial agreement was signed between Ecuador's Ministry of Environment and Water, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, and its Agency for the Regulation and Control of Phytosanitary and Animal Health, Agrocalidad. I hope my accent is okay.
It's perfect.
To implement a deforestation-free certification for agricultural and livestock production. This groundbreaking agreement links the visions of these government agencies and integrates their environmental policies and regulations with the aim of strengthening the productive chain for the commercialization of high-quality sustainable products with full participation of producers and private companies that share this interest and are willing to collaborate to work towards a more sustainable production, such as is the case with our good friends Lavazza. So we're very grateful to hear this. So with that, I'd like to start with a message from Amazonia, and we're going to show a video right now, please. Gustavo, if you'd like to come this way a little bit.
Sorry to give you the back.
No.
Un cordial saludo a las personas del mundo entero. Mi nombre es Camilo Luzuriaga y represento a la organización APCAP. En esta ocasión venimos a contarles el trabajo que viene realizando nuestra organización en la Amazonía Sur del Ecuador. Estamos trabajando con la producción de café de alta calidad y sobre todo producidos bajo el contexto de producción sostenible y libre de deforestación. Yo como representante legal de las 202 productoras me siento muy orgulloso de poder ver que este producto está en otros nichos de mercados internacionales, que otras personas están consumiendo el trabajo, el esfuerzo que hacemos como productoras y sobre todo que es retribuido económicamente para que de esta manera los productores puedan vivir dignamente. Nuestra tierra es un lugar privilegiado. Vivimos bajo la magia de los bosques. Nuestra riqueza que nos acompaña son las aves y animales únicos. Nos sentimos muy orgullosos por vivir en esta zona. A nombre de las productoras y productores a la distancia, les damos un fuerte abrazo y agradecemos por tomarnos en cuenta en este panel.
Bravo.
Gobierno del Encuentro.
Bravo. That's really wonderful to see. We will then now show our second video, which is a word from Lavazza. And I think we're going to go on a trip to Torino.
Today we taste Amazonian free deforestation coffee from Ecuador. We use the international method of tapping. This coffee is very interesting. Starting from the aroma, that is very rich with the notes of chocolate and floral. We can move to the taste that is sweet with a very good citric acidity, intense but delicate, and with a mix of flavor of sweet chocolate, grapefruit, and bergamot, with some fruit floral, jasmine like, gives to this coffee a very elegant flavor. The body is velvet, intense, and juicy, and the aftertaste is long and complex. This is a very elegant and complex enjoying.
Bravo.
Bravo.
And I bet you didn't think when you came here today that you were going to Torino as well. That's it. So I'd like to take a few moments now to introduce our distinguished panelists. So first we have Gustavo Manrique, our Minister of the Environment, Water and Ecological Transition of Ecuador. We have Mario Cerruti, the Chief Institutional Relations and Sustainability Officer of Lavazza. And we have Karina Barrera, the Deputy Secretary for Climate Change, Ministry of Environment, Water and Ecological Transition of Ecuador. So welcome for being here and sharing your time with us and just being here to do this. So Ecuador is a pioneer country that is working towards more sustainable economy, promoting direct changes that can lead to innovate transformation to tackle climate change and deforestation. So I'd like to ask our Minister of Environment, Gustavo Manrique, about Ecuador's efforts to tackle deforestation and climate change, if I may.
Thank you, Google, for this introduction. Hi, Mario, Karina. Hi, everyone. Thanks for convening this, for organizing this meeting to discuss, to share some of our recently and latest action to fight deforestation and some other things. But I want to recall probably one of the best or important actions that we have done under the legal frame. Ecuador in 2008 was the first country in the world to give rights to nature. And even though that was another administration, when you're in the cause of saving the world, to be in this portfolio or in this ministry, you don't see labels. You don't see right, left, or center. You just see you just see to do the right thing. So the other day I was in UNGA in New York, and we were a high ambition coalition group, like 20 ministers, and we were discussing what to do, like what is the first step to do as countries to fight for climate change, contamination, climate change, or loss of biodiversity, and we agree all that maybe discussing about giving rights for nature is like the best legal frame in order then to talk about laws, secondary normative, among other things, So I feel like highlighting, because each of you have a good contact, each of you have, you do right things, people, So if we all start talking about this, that the human rights, just 82 years ago, the humanity decided to give rights for human. So for Ecuador, it's not on the debate protecting nature or not. This is a thing that we all agree. that is a common sense. It's based on data that we have to protect. So it's 1+1. It's as simple as that. And Ecuador has a dilemma. Ecuador only emits 0.18% of the gas emission worldwide. But we are the country with more species per square kilometer. We are part of a mega diverse list of countries out of 16 countries in the world that are considered mega diverse. So we contribute like this to the contamination, but we have a big role to play in terms of ecosystemic services. So the thing is, we want to be developed, but the dilemma here is, okay, how do we develop our communities, our indigenous community, in general terms, the Ecuador, with a net loss zero of biodiversity? So that's the challenge, that's the dilemma. And I want to share some things that I was requested to share what right things we have done in the last years. And we, in 2013, we were the first country, or one of the first country in the world to implement RED Plus system. And we were the second country in the world to be paid by results or for results of non-deforestation. So we have invested a very important pathway in RED Plus that we will like to keep working in this strategic alliance. We were the first country in the world as well in COP27 to design the way to create the cash flow or the finance with the communities that I call love, AMA, which is Amazons, Montubios, and Afros, how the money will flow. And we have already written that. We have been working with Live Coalition in order to define that. As you mentioned, Google, the strategic alliance between public and private sector has been absolutely important in this that I'm going to explain a little bit later in the second question. We have worked with Ministerio de Agricultura, Production Ministry, Agrocalidad, PNUD, of course, and Lavazza, and how to do the baseline and how to create this unique honorific certification or certified worldwide, right? So another milestone for us recently, it was with CONFENIAE, the Confederation of Indigenous Communities from the Amazon, by the RED Plus methodology. We delivered $2.5 million a couple months ago for more than 700 communities because of their effort of non-deforestation, right? So just to share a couple more numbers, we have been in the government the last 17 months. And in 17 months, we have increased our protected areas by 42%. That's an incredible amount of increasing. We have created 12 different protected areas all around Ecuador, marine and land protected areas. And I think that's quite impressive. But besides that, because creating protected area is more or less simple. You sign a ministerial agreement. The challenge is to create it with financing. So all of them, all of these 12 protected areas that are more or less 26 million hectares around Ecuador, all of them came with a financing mechanism. And that include Reserva Marina Hermandad, or in Galapagos, that probably you heard about it. It's a 6 million hectares of a new, half of it, it is a full no-take marine reserve. And why is important to protect ocean as well? I know here we're here to talk about forest, but you know that 1 every 2 breaths comes from ocean. So having that clear, Ecuador has a clear commitment by the 30 by 30 commitment for that. Besides these 12 protected areas, we have created another 6 protected hydric areas around Ecuador. That means we have increased by 300% our protected areas, and the last number that I have shared with you, all of them in this administration, in a little bit more than 18 months. So I just, wanted to share that this new launch that we have done together, Mario and a lot of people that is here, this free of deforestation distinguished, I think brings hope. For you to know, we gave some investment as well to 13, I don't know, how do you say, centros de acopio for coffee? Huh? Sí, but how do you say it in English? A storage center or the place where you process the coffee. We did 2 things. We invest in equipment, knowledge, capabilities, and with Lavazza, the market. And just by those 2 things, we tripled the price of what they are receiving. So it's not that they are working less, they are working better, they have more quality, and they reach, with no intermediaries, the final market. So we are giving hope to them. You know that in Ecuador, 7 out of 10 Ecuadorians don't have a formal work or employment. So once again, thanks for helping us build a better world to all of us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gustavo. When I hear numbers like that, they are so impressive. And not just impressive, it gives one hope. Sometimes in the climate change negotiations, we hear so much about what is not happening, and we hear about doom and gloom. And then you look at numbers like this, and you look at whether it's a government, the country, the emotions behind it to make this happen, right, is so impressive. And then you mix it with the private sector, and we see things happening. So really, really thank you so much for that. It's wonderful to know. So it's a crucial part of working towards a sustainable economy. Working directly with the private sector is also vital. So Mario Cerruti, the Chief Sustainable Officer of the Lavazza Group, what do you see as the role of companies on collaborating with government and local producers to mitigate climate change and eliminate deforestation?
Oh, well, thank you very much. Sorry, but my voice is basically gone, but thank you very much, Google, for this question. And first of all, I want to acknowledge the very, very important points that the minister was pointing out. Let me say that, in my opinion, and as Lavazza company as well as Lavazza Foundation, we are working a little bit already since more than 20 years with sustainability projects, with other partners, with donors, and with also, let's say, public institutions. But this one really is really a project. Well, today is no longer a project, it's a result. is something that is working, that frankly speaking, I'm particularly proud. I think that for some reason, we may be a luck, maybe altogether we are very good, whatever, but it's really a very, very important project, the way it was going. Everything started, and I'm always a little bit critic about Italy, but everything started with a very, very good activity done by the Ministry of Italian Environment, which was to offer to the Ecuadorian government, probably this was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, the possibility to work with UNDP in order to understand what could be possible in terms of climate financing and so on and so on. Then UNDP came in the and we were not in the picture yet at that time. I was doing other stuff. Then UNDP came in, they started to study, and then we through some contact we started to work together, and really the collaboration that we had with the Ecuadorian government, and I'm not Ecuadorian, so totally out of any interest. It was really amazing. It was really amazing. So for me, and again, I don't know anything about the Ecuadorian politics, so I don't know anything about the changes that the main time happen, etc. But for me, it was incredible to find a country where 3 ministers get together to design an instrument, which is Pro Amazonia, to start working on using that funds for the best. And that was already something not so normal because they were really working. They were working. And then we came in the picture, and honestly, we were very scared. Said, well, we don't know how, I mean, we don't know what to do. We will make a terrible, stuff. And so at the beginning, we were very, very scared, and we say, well, we are of course very happy to participate, but we can only do what we can, which is basically, as the minister was kindly remembering, something about commercialization, maybe something about the quality, etc., etc. So at the end was an activity where everybody was putting something. And I think that nowadays, if you know what is happening in Europe with this deforestation legislation that is coming out, etc., I think, and again, we started when the issue was not even existing in Europe, so full, completely in maybe 2 years before. I think that this is really an example to show a way to handle things, and in particular, if we are talking about deforestation. So it's really important to put together knowledge, experience, capability. For example, in the definition that all the project developed about deforestation, if you don't have the government involved, it's mission impossible. I mean, of course, I cannot make law. They can. Maybe they don't know how to prepare a blend. We can. So this is the point, that everybody should put on the table his expertise with a common objective, and the common objective is the grower, is to help the grower to make something better, some better living, better product, and so on and so forth. And we are talking now cocoa and coffee, but in principle it can be, well, basically everything. And so that is really the strength that we felt in this project, and for us was really an incredible experience. So first of all, thank you very much to you and your actual, current, and previous colleagues. Thank you very much from the Lavazza group.
Thank you very much, Mario. I had the pleasure of recently going to Torino, and I met the Lavazza, the colleagues there. And one of the things that Mario said that really resonated was he said, we are doing this now, but ultimately all coffee should be deforestation free. And I thought that that was just such the right tone to make, that it's not just about our company, but it is a global good that we should be doing. Thank you very much, Mario.
Thank you.
So we have tasted the flavors, and we've smelt the aromas, and we've seen the commitment for all actors. And it's an impressive blueprint and pilot process, and it has a lot of results and challenges that are being and need to be attended. So could you tell us a little bit more on that, please?
Thank you. This event is very special for Ecuador. We have been working during a lot of time, and it's important to understand when everything started. It's not just a ministerial agreement. It started many years ago when Ecuador decided to implement a strategy to reduce the deforestation. But in this moment, the moving to a sustainable production system just was a letter. Yeah, how does it mean? But to build a concept that could be consistent with the reality of the territory has taken a long time in our country. I think that it was the main issue. What is free of deforestation, for example? Ecuador has to build what is this concept. maybe this was the first step and the first challenge. What is free of deforestation for Ecuador is not the same for Costa Rica or for another country. We built this concept and we put a baseline. It is 2014, for example, and for the European Union is 2020. It's different. And to make some agreements was the first step. And then what happened with the different stakeholders like Ministry of Agriculture, they focus on what is production. And the same like Minister of Production, they wanted just quality and production. But the concept free of deforestation was not included at the beginning in this kind of concepts. And to introduce this concept, it was new. And then the producers, they are another part of this equation. But the producers said, why I have to invest my time doing this? This was another challenge. It is a faith issue for us to believe that it could be possible and to strengthen the associativity, because it could be expensive to spend money in certification systems or to monitor the territory, because they have to monitor the forest and then to say it is free of deforestation. Why they have to invest in that? Their time, they didn't know how to do this. And there were many challenges. Strengthen the capacity in the producers, strengthen the associativity system, strengthen the infrastructure too. Many issues that we have to address during the past, but it is possible just with the commitment of the government, like you said before. And then the final piece, how to engage the market. Yeah, the market is far away. Who is willing to pay more for this kind of production? And now this is the main challenge. We have worked very hard in this system, but who is going to believe and is willing to pay what does it cost? Yeah, maybe now this is a pilot. We have evidence for the world, not just for Ecuador, it's for the world, that it's possible that enterprises like Lavazza are interested in this kind of production. This is the first thing. It is possible, but who else is willing to pay? Who else is willing to be part of this system? Maybe now this is the challenge. We have to address some issues related to traceability of the system, because it's necessary to work with a monitor system with the producers, and we have to strengthen these capacities. Maybe these are new challenges, but this is part of the process, and this is a sustainable process that Ecuador is doing since many years ago with the concept of RED+, and this is an evidence that in this part RED+ is working in Ecuador. This is another evidence that working together, the public, private, and agricultures, it's possible since different point of views. If we work together, we can do these things.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you. So let me then just do another round of questions to each of the panelists, if I might, because I think you also may want to have some coffee and chocolate soon. So let me come back and start with you, Mario, if I might, which is, what are the upcoming challenges in new market regulations?
Well, that's really a very, very big challenge. Here the question is, at least from our point of view, is relatively simple. We all agree on the objective. It's clear that, as you kindly remember, there is no reason whatsoever that coffee should be involved in any form of deforestation now. Well, first of all, if you have coffee, you had deforestation, because the coffee, except few areas in the world, in Ethiopia or Sudan, is not native. So if you have coffee, you had deforestation. Now, today, there is no longer need to deforest one tree, 1 square meter, because if you take, and this is a calculation we did, and we're probably going to publish a paper together with the International Coffee Organization. If today you take the low productivity coffee producing countries, and you just imagine that they can produce as the average, which is 14 bags per hectare, and is very low because you have countries let's say, in areas of Brazil that where you have 100 bags per hectare. A bag is the unit we use, a 60 kilo bag. Only by doing that, you can supply the coffee needed to the next 20, 25 years of growth in demand. So, I mean, in 25 years, somebody else will take care of. And this is to say that we don't need to deforest to supply the market. So that's the first point, and a very important point, because we don't want to imagine a scenario where people will not be able to drink coffee because it will be simply too expensive. This is not the way, well, of course, as a coffee roaster, but even in general, as a citizen, I don't really want to have a place where I cannot consume, have not excessive consumption, that's one point, but I need to eat, I need to travel, I wish to eat, I wish to travel, I wish to have the type of life that we are more or less all of us used to. So back to the point, the regulations are good, but we have to find a way to put it in practice. And today I think that if we talk about what is coming from, at least from the European scenario, which is mainly deforestation, human rights, child labor, etc., those are really big challenge. And everything, in a way, in our opinion, is based on one important concept. An important concept is to work together with, in our case, coffee-producing countries, to create the condition too. At this moment, is a little bit, looks a little bit imposed. I was in Bogota 2-3 weeks ago. There was the ICO board meeting of all the participants, and many coffee-producing countries were a little bit nervous on the fact that this legislation has been a little bit too much imposed of them. So my, let's say, wish would really be to maybe to stop a little bit, stop the machine. Let's start to work in a slightly different way, a little bit more participatively, and at the end, the first step, in my opinion, is to create a centralized database where, with specific rules, it's a very complicated situation, but it's possible, where the data will go, and we will be able to trace the coffee with the characteristic of the coffee from the grower to the final consumer. This will also allow, and I think in the particular context of this type of products, allows one very important point, which is a direct link between the consumer and the grower, also in terms of reward. So, if I can, at a certain point of my coffee, to say, okay, here is the coffee of that region, and in that region, I'm inventing. There is a cooperative of 300 people. No? The consumer himself can have a link and even economically reward that particular cooperative or that particular type of coffee. So this is really the starting point where only by working in a very, very cooperative way with the producing countries, but with the government, with the authorities, we can really hope to create a system that will be very democratic, but also very effective. So sorry, I was a bit too long, I'm sorry. But
No. It's important to have these, because I think too often we have these set speeches, and we need to have these discussions. I mean, I personally think that all conferences, the coffees and the teas and all of these that we have, I'd like to know where they're coming from. I think they should be sustainable. I think all the food should be sustainable. We need to talk, all the people who are here, we need to, what do they say, walk the talk, right? So it starts with that. Karina, if I may ask you, how would you increase and expand more producers and commodities?
This is a new challenge now. One important thing is to implement new incentives. For example, the credit lines are very important in this process. Now Ecuador is working on farmer fields schools. However, they just learn how to implement new sustainable practices, but how to do this real. And the credits line are very important to make this real. Another kind of incentives too, non-economic incentives from the government, especially from the agriculture sector. That's why it's very important to work together and to promote these initiatives, not just at national level, at international level. The investment in the promotion is very important. More countries, more enterprises could be engaged with this concept. It is new, and I think that we should invest in promotion and to have more people engaged in that. Mainly the consumers. But what happens if the enterprises are commitment with this, but the consumers, they don't want to invest maybe 1 cent more or something like that in this kind of products. And to strengthen the associativity, because this kind of supply chain should be not for one person. It is for several producers. We have to increase the associativity, to improve the associativity, and it requires more investment too.
Thank you. If I'm not mistaken, with oncoming climate change, some of the products or commodities that are the most affected are coffee, cacao, wine, the grapes. So I think the consumer should be worried about it and should start thinking about what it means, because when it becomes, more limited and the cost grows up, it comes back ultimately to the consumer. So investing up front, but this is all part of the change process. But thank you very much. And finally, but last but not least, we understand you have a very exciting announcement. And if you could share with us what's coming next for this initiative, please, Gustavo.
Well, it's an announcement that all we know about this initiative, but I just want to highlight or read this logo that it was supposed to come out right after I start talking in this minute, but you have been seeing it for the last 15 minutes. So I would like to read, because this is a instruction that I have received from the market guys or marketing guys, and what does it means, this logo. So the aim of this deforestation-free green initiative seal is to differentiate agriculture and forestry products that have incorporated criteria on their production process that allows the protection and conservation of the remaining forest around them. If you see probably the logo while I talk, probably you might find more accurate these words. This enables it to achieve a place in the specialized international market as innovative initiative. The seal has a concept behind it, which highlights the importance of the regeneration of life cycles, showing the sustainability is based on the concept of making infinite use of a finite resource, in our case of the forest. The logo with the symbol of infinity motivates the consumer to prefer those products that promote two things. One, the continuity of productive process, and second, that prolong the life cycle of the planet. Today, as Ecuador, we present to the world the Deforestation-Free Green Initiative labeled as a concrete cross-sectoral climate action. It is a sign that together we can. It is also a call to find common ground, and it's also a seed of hope for those who come after us to find a way to face the climate crisis. So thank you. Thanks again, Lavazza. And just as a show of being grateful, Mario, I want you to receive this this recognition that it says, I'm going to translate it. This is a recognition of the Republic of Ecuador to the Italian company Lavazza for his valioso valuable support given to the deforestation, free production of coffee in the frame of the national policy of Red Mass. Pro Amazonía, PNUD, Green Climate Fund, GEF, Ministerio de Ambiente, Agua y Transición Ecológica, Ministerio de Agricultura y el Gobierno del Ecuador. Muchísimas gracias.
It was totally unexpected, really. They didn't, you should have told me before. No, even the microphone was not ready. Well, thank you. Really, it's I don't know what to say. I am not prepared. As you say, it's not a prepared speech. Wasn't a prepared speech, but even I was not prepared to this one. No, really, thank you for me personally, but for our companies, an incredible recognition. Thank you very much. We hope that this can be the beginning of not only for Ecuador deforestation coffee. Maybe we all hope that here we can have other countries joining, and we might have country 1, country 2, country 3 that can, let's say, learn from our experience without making the same learning curve, but simply going to to ask advices from you, to ask and to go more in deep into the studies. So again, thank you very much. I don't know what to say.
I'm going to request both of you to take a photo in front of the wall later, so if we may. So panelists, thank you very much for your contributions today and for being here. And thank you, colleagues, for being here. So just to round up to say that I'm also delighted that UNDP has been able to support this work, and we hope that we'll be able to continue on this and other activities. We also encourage other countries to be involved in such initiatives and take it much broader. And now we'd like to invite you to keep learning, discussing, and tasting the flavors of Ecuador, and we invite you to a reception outside. And, please feel free to contact us at any point should, you'd like to learn more. And we really look forward to continuing this. And thank you so much for the effort that you all put in. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely amazing the work that you do. Really amazing. Please come outside for